I started doing this on paper and then realized I should probably talk you through this. So here's number 7, and number 7 is kind of a jerk. We'll explain why when we get down here. So we got a and b are constants, and here's our original function. To get the derivative, you're going to need the chain rule. So I just replace u with bx, blah, blah, blah. Same thing over here. You're going to end up with a multiplier of 2. And then here is my first derivative. You guys can double check me on that. Do the chain again on each of these pieces, and here is your second derivative. Then it tells you that if you add y and the second derivative, you get 6 cosine of 2x. So that's what I did here. This part right here is y, and this part right here is the second derivative, and all of that, of course, is equal to 6 cosine of 2x. Okay. From there, I just started gathering terms. So I've got a sine of bx here. I've got a sine of bx here. That came together over here. I got a cosine of 2x, a cosine of 2x. That came together here. And then I noticed that I've got a 3, 3, 3, and 6. So I divided everything by 3. And I am now at this stage. Okay. Now we're supposed to be solving for a and b. We got a, we got b, but we only have one equation. I don't know if you recall anything about solving systems, but if you have 2 variables, you probably need 2 equations. So this is where this is kind of a jerky thing. But I'm going to share the answer and assure you that I won't give you a problem like this. And I don't believe that the IB would also give you a problem quite like this. It requires a little too much on figuring stuff out. These are almost identical. And because these are almost identical, one might consider like, well, what if A was just 2? If A was 2, then we'd need a way to get rid of this, but it's not too hard to do that, because if B is 1, I get 1 minus 1, I get 0, this goes away, and then A can just be 2. The other thing here is that B could be negative 1. So the solution here is that A is 2 and B is 1 or negative 1. And you can only really do that by inspection, which is kind of dumb. But your cue and your like clue that you need to do something is that you've got 2 variables and only one solution. You can double check this on Desmos or whatever you like. It will work out. And I'm sorry, this was a little bit harder than I meant for it to be. Okie doke, for number 8, we're supposed to find the first and second derivative of this guy and then evaluate here. So for the first derivative, we're going to need the product rule. We've got this part, and we have this part, and this one is going to need a mini chain rule because of that 4x. So we're going to call u as x to the 1/2, and u prime is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. V is going to be the cosine of k, and then k is just 4x. V prime would be negative sine of k, and k prime would be 4. So the actual final here would be V prime is negative sine of 4x times 4. Okay, so product rule, we're going to get F prime is V times U prime. So cosine of 4x times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 plus V prime times U. So negative 4 sine of 4x times x to the 1/2. And obviously it's okay if you've got like some different things, like the half is out front or blah, blah, blah. And since I'm going to take the second derivative of this, I'm going to clean all of this up. I'm going to bring all the coefficients to the front. And just for sanity's sake, I'm going to bring the x in front of the cosine so we don't end up mixing that up. So I'm going to rewrite this and just say f prime of x is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 cosine of 4x, and then minus 4x to the 1/2 sine of 4x. Okie doke. So now I need to get the second derivative. And the second derivative here, I've got a product, and here I also have a product. So we're going to use, this is my first bit, this as my second. So v is cosine of 4x. I'm going to skip the tiny little chain rule here and get that this is going to be the negative 4 sine of 4x. Hopefully y'all will forgive me for that. If you have any questions, let me know. And u is 1/2, x to the negative 1/2. U prime is going to be 1/4, negative 1/4, x to the negative 3/2. And so over here, we're going to get 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 times negative 4 sine of 4x plus negative 1/4 x to the negative 3/2 times cosine of 4x. And then we'll just clean some of this up. So the 1/2 and the negative 4 can multiply, so we get negative 2x to the negative 1/2 sine of 4x. And then over here, we'd get just minus, 1/4 x to the negative 3/2 cosine of 4x. Oh, buddy. Okay. And remember, this was just part of it because we still have this whole section to deal with. But it's going to be very similar. Once you're done, you'll get all of that. And then we're just going to start gathering our terms here. I noticed that here I've got a sine of 4x, and here I have a sine of 4x, and it also has this x to the negative 1/2 and x to the negative 1/2. So those can all go together, and I will end up with negative 4x to the negative 1/2 sine of 4x. Unfortunately, my cosine of 4x here and my cosine of 4x here won't play as nicely because this is negative 3/2 and this is 1/2. So I'm just going to leave the rest of it as is, of like negative 1/4 x to the negative 3/2 cosine of 4x minus 16x to the 1/2 cosine of 4x. Whew, buddy. Okay, so all of that is f double prime of x. Last thing that we need to do, if we go all the way back up here, is we're supposed to evaluate f prime of pi over 16 and f double prime of pi over 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a copy here of my f prime and a copy here of my f double prime. And then we will evaluate. Okay, f single prime, so the first derivative of pi over 16, we're just going to plug it in. Like that. And then, just simplify it a little bit. Cosine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. And then here, that would simplify to give us a 2 over root pi minus 4 times sine of pi over 4 is also root 2 over 2, root pi over 4. And so we can do some more simplifying. Over here we just have the square root of 2 over pi minus, that will simplify, and then we'd get the square root of 2 pi over 2. That should be our f prime of 16. And I'm pretty sure that's about as simplified as I can get. You can also just plug it into a calculator. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, down here, we got our pi over 8. So let's first plug it in, like that, and then simplify. And happily, here, because we get the cosine of pi over 2, that's going to be 0. So this term, these whole things are going to disappear, and you're just going to get left with this, which is negative 4 times the square root of 8 over pi. Kind of a strange thing, but whatever. It's the answer. At least I'm like 85% sure. Let me know if I made a mistake. All right, number 9. Here's our function. We're going to show the first derivative and then draw the sign diagram. So, first derivative, It's going to be the quotient rule. This is going to be our u, this is going to be our v. So u is 4x, u prime is 4, v is x squared plus 1, v prime is 2x. And so the derivative, f prime, is going to be, oh, wrong thing, these. So 4 times x squared plus 1 minus 4x times 2x all over x squared plus 1 squared. Okay, we need to make it look like this, but I feel like that'll probably be okay if we just end up distributing a little bit, and then we could factor it out. So let's do that. This is going to be equal to 4x squared plus 4 minus 8x squared all over x squared plus 1 squared. This is negative 4x squared plus 4 all over x squared plus 1 squared. Then if we factor out a negative 4, which again, you can get the hint from the negative and the 4 up here, what we'd have is x squared minus 1 all over x squared plus 1 squared, which this part does factor to negative 4x minus 1, x plus 1 all over x squared plus 1 squared. Checked. So that's the first thing. Now let's get the sign diagram. Sorry, just we showed that. So the sign diagram is, we have to consider where this is equal to 0, and a giant hint is, well, there's nothing that's going to make this 0 down here, because even if we had a negative 1, so that's always going to be positive. Well, if x was 1 or if x was negative 1, those are going to be our solutions for that. 1 and negative 1. And then you just want to kind of test values that you'd plug in here to get positive or negative answers. So if you try to 0, that would be, wow, Perkins, what are you doing? That is 1, and this is negative 1, because I know how numbers work. Totally fine. Don't worry about me, guys. Whew, buddy. Sorry for the sign diagram. So if we plugged in 0, so that would be in this middle section here, we'd get negative 4 times negative 1 plus 1. So we'd have a negative times a negative plus or times a positive. So that would get me a positive value here. My guess is if we tried a negative value here, so if we did like negative 4 times negative 2 minus 1, negative 2 minus 1, well, this is going to be negative, and this is going to be negative, and this is going to be negative. So we got 3 different negatives. Even if that's a plus, still negative. That's going to be a negative answer over here. And if we over here plugged in, so like we plugged in 2, we'd have 2 minus 1, that's positive. 2 plus 1 is positive, times a negative, that would also get us a negative. So there is my sign diagram. Then find the intervals where f of x is increasing or decreasing. It's increasing here. It is increasing between negative 1 and 1. So f of x is positive for negative 1 less than x less than 1. So f of x is increasing. And otherwise, it's decreasing. So it's decreasing for x less than negative 1 and x greater than 1. Let me know what questions you got.